Welcome, my friends. Welcome to another aimless adventure coming to you from Tombstone, Arizona. Oh, I know what you're thinking. Where's little Wyatt Earp stuff? That'll be a different video. Today, we're here at the White Raven Trading Company because they've got funky roadside attraction goodness. They've got all kind of curiosities, and I think it's time we explore more. Let's do it! White Raven Trading Company is located at 215 East Allen Street here in Tombstone, Arizona. Museum of the Strange is inside as well. And it looks like they've got Fiji mermaids, shrunken heads, rattlesnake with 2 heads, you got me right there, and a 16-foot alligator. Come on now, what more could you want? I think if we follow this finger, we might be able to meet the owner. What's happening?
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Are you Graham?
I am.
What's happening, man? Nice to meet you, I'm Chris.
Nice to meet you, Chris. Well, this is our curiosity shop, the White Raven Trading Company in Tombstone, Arizona. We have a free Museum of the Strange inside, and we appreciate you guys being here today.
Nice. So, tell me a little bit about this place. I'm amazed just walking through the door. I mean, you got stuff everywhere, but why Tombstone? Why a curiosity shop?
It was my wife and I's retirement plan. I've always collected weird stuff, and my degree is in museum collections, and I worked as a museum curator for a long time. And so it was my way to make a little roadside museum, kind of a throwback to the 50s. We like Tombstone. I've always had a lot of pet snakes. I came out for years hunting rattlesnakes and everything. It's a tourist town, and when you compare tourist towns in the U.S. and the amount of tourists do, Tombstone's just great. Let me take the front off. This is Pedro. He was our first shrunken head that we ever got. He's a good one. And you can see his little bit of, mustache and stuff since Pedro from Napoleon Dynamite. And on the back, the shrunken heads, you would cut a head off, and then you'd cut up the back of the head and peel off the face like a meat mask and get rid of the skull because bones don't shrink. And then they would boil it and heat it, and just like any leather, when it gets wet and then dries out with the heat, it shrinks. So over a big process, they did it.
So we've even got instructions in case we're looking to shrink heads ourselves. So there you go, y'all. You've got, you now have the knowledge you need to shrink your neighbor's head.
If you ever have an extra head laying around. Right,
and who doesn't?
So yeah, that's Pedro. He's one of our 2 shrunken heads here on display. The other guy down there, he was a big chunky guy with big cheeks, and he was a neat one.
I like that mustache.
I do too. Yeah, that instead of shaving it off, they kind of cut it to scale and left a big mustache on him. But yeah, we got a little 2-headed piglet here that came from a traveling sideshow. Believe it or not, all the kids coming in love the piglet more than anything else. I'm like, man, it's just the 2-headed pig next to real heads, but the pig freaks them out more.
Kids love them some swine.
Yeah.
What do we got in here?
We call her the red-haired mistress. Let me move the sodas out of the way, sorry. She was a skull out of the catacombs. It came from a collection in the UK, and her hair's still braided.
That's crazy.
So, yeah. Hello, how are y'all doing today?
How are you?
Pretty good. If you have any questions, let me know. And around the corner, we have a free museum with more of our weird stuff in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Weird stuff.
We love weird stuff.
Looks like the Hillside Strangler's done some artwork up there of some type of Corvette.
Hey guys, this is a real human mummified head. When I first got him in, I was pretty mad that his teeth look better than mine, but it's actual dentures that you can kind of see in there. Early dentures. I don't know if the lighting's good or not.
Oh, that's gnarly.
It is. It is. And I figured for sure I would get some weird disease. This was for coronavirus. From all the little bumps on them. Figured I'd bring back some sort of plague. But from the sounds of it, a firefighter friend thinks that maybe he went through a fire and that's why he was screaming, because the oil in our hair follicles sometimes will bubble up in extreme heat. So it could be.
That's
I don't know.
Horrifying.
It is. Still some little dried ears and a little bit of hair left. There's a little neck hole. Isn't much of it there.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it's just one of the things that, again, you walk through the door and you see a screaming mummified head. It kind of gives it that old-time curiosity shop feel.
Yeah, that'll set the mood.
Yeah, because, I mean, we have all sorts of rocks and artifacts, but to be a true curiosity shop, you really need to have a bunch of weird stuff.
I agree.
Thank you guys so much. Have a great day. So yeah, this came from outside of Tucson from a place. They claimed it was a Mexican soldier killed by an Apache arrow. But when you collect artifacts and everything, especially Native American artifacts and things, you know that they fake the points a lot and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's a real trade point. It was probably shoved in a bone they found and called that. You'll see all sorts of deer vertebrae with arrows in them and skulls and stuff, but most of them are faked. And this one probably is a fake because there's no bone growth around it. Mm-hmm. But you never know. I guess if he got killed by it, there wouldn't be any bone growth. But I have saw one that had an arrow stuck in the leg and there was bone grown around it, which was an amazing piece.
Oh, yeah. All right, y'all, it's time for some Museum of the Strange action. Ooh. Thought that was Bob Hope with a shrunken head. Check it out, y'all. We have an insane amount of frogs playing pretty much every instrument you can think of. From harps to cellos to bongos to xylophones. And then down here, these are the ruffians. You can clearly see Pancho Villa as a frog, hammering back apparently a pizza. I wouldn't have taken him for a pizza guy, but these guys are throwing a few back. That dude is hammered. That is a drunk frog, y'all. Look at that. Don't drink that much, kids. That thing is 3/4 the size of his body. Yep. And we got some gambling frogs and some more dudes down there. This thing is amazing. You have, how many frogs are in here, man?
It's slightly under 100. I think there's 93 frogs and there's one turtle in the very back playing the guitar. It should be the world's largest frog band, or at least for sure the world's largest frog band on public display.
You got the token tortoise back there. Mm-hmm.
Yep. The only thing we're really missing is a piano player. I saw one pop up on eBay about 4 years ago out of Canada, and he wanted like $100 for it, so I couldn't justify because we ran out of room in here anyways. But I've been collecting these things for years. They were sold in Mexico as tourist pieces. I've repainted a lot of them to say Tombstone, repaired them with taxidermy clay, re-shellacked them. It's as dumb as it is, I think it's really cool. We want to put music on it. We don't know if it's going to be jazz or mariachi music yet, but yeah.
I dig it.
World's largest frog band. This is our crime and punishment case. Everybody loves prison shanks. And serial killers are the in thing these days. This is probably the most talked about item in the case. Is a guitar made from matchsticks by a prisoner. He used his fingernail clippers to clip the heads off the matchsticks, coffee to dye the darker parts, and his name was Del Brown. If you Google him and with prison instruments, I believe you'll find a newspaper article on him at least. And he made a bunch of instruments from cellos to upright basses. I just happened to luck out and get this guitar. We have a lot of stuff from authentic 17th century German beheading axe. The handle is more modern, replaced, but the axe head is real. Lots of stuff confiscated in prisons. John Wayne Gacy, we all know the killer clown. He did a book called A Question of Doubt. There was 500 copies. This one right here is actual one of the manuscripts, and it's all handwritten in it. With notes, hand typed. It's great. He was guilty of sin, but was trying to convince people that he wasn't. Let's see, we got some Jim Jones, People's Choir, the Drink the Kool-Aid guy, one of their records.
Have you listened to that?
I have not listened to it yet.
I'd be interested to see how the harmonies are.
I would. Ed Gein items. This was a signed Ed Gein picture, came out of the book by Gallmer, And that came out the year that Ed Gein died, and he signed it. That's why his signature's kind of shaky. The hand scythe was from his farmhouse. When he got busted, everything in his house was auctioned off before the farmhouse got mysteriously burned down. And this item came from the neighbors. It has a letter from them, and yeah, just telling the history on it. A lot of movies designed around Ed Gein. Let's see. There's, you know, the Heaven's Gate drinking glasses.
Oh, yeah.
We got a lot of John Dillinger stuff up there. You know, like a death mask and showing.
Gotta have the death mask.
And then up here along the top, it's kind of hard to see, but just a bunch of random convicted criminal art pieces. A lot of history. When you start looking up the names of these people and what they did, it makes it super creepy.
That's really creepy. That whoever that is that Hayden Clark?
Yeah, Hayden Clark, the cross-dressing cannibal serial killer.
Drawing happy birthday cards.
And he always does these creepy little girls, and he'll always do like sign language for saying it. It's weird because he was convicted of killing, bragged to his cellmate he killed at least 12 women, and he had a female alter ego, but he got convicted of a 6-year-old's death and a 23-year-old girl's death. So he kind of signs a lot of stuff as Mr. Bunny Rabbit, which is really weird.
It says, like at the top, at the very top up there, way up there at the top, you know, if you can't see that, it has numbers 1, 2, and 3. It says black, then new line, then forest, then a new line, cake, because that makes sense. And then the sign language of 1, 2, like them signing the words. And then below the cake, it says, I'd make you a black forest cake for your birthday, but I'm not allowed to have how do you pronounce it?
I don't know. Kirschmarscher? I don't. Some people are going to laugh at us.
In prison. Clearly, I'm guessing that's a German word, but you know I can barely speak English, so it's weird either way.
So our curiosity shop is located inside China Mary's house. China Mary, here in Tombstone, from the corner up here by our building back, was what they called Hop Town. There were a lot of Chinese immigrants in Tombstone, and they were all ran by a lady by the name of China Mary. This was her house. She died in this house. Back in our museum was her bedroom. And yeah, if you needed a worker, you went to China Mary, a Chinese worker. She would pick the person for you and send them over to do the work and guarantee the work. If they stole from you or you weren't happy with the work, you'd be reimbursed and it would all be taken care of. She also brought in all of the opium and the Chinese red light girls.
All right, so what do we got going on over here?
This is our voodoo case. My wife and I love the French Quarter in New Orleans, so we kind of did a combo of voodoo stuff from all around the world. There's stuff straight out of Africa that's authentic human skulls, to the big fetish statue is out of New Orleans and was on display in the French Quarter for 50 plus years.
This statue right here?
This statue right there. People are continuing to leave offerings on it for us. Yeah. All sorts of religious statues, a lot of them out of the French Quarter.
No shortage. No shortage of that there.
Not at all.
Somebody put a $2 bill in there. That's as rare as a shrunken head.
Almost. These days.
Oh, so is this, who's this gentleman back here in the photo?
It was just talking about the use of drums in voodoo. We have 2 voodoo drums on display out of Haiti. And it was just a postcard of a voodoo drummer, a vintage postcard. Try to do a little visuals for people.
And of course, the blowfish.
The blowfish, yep.
All right, man, I've got to know more about a full-blown devilfish family.
Yeah, so we all know that the devilfish are made from guitar fish, and I believe they go back to like the 1600s, people making these and selling them. Sailors would come home and bring these things with them, and people thought, well, they were being sold to them as, you know, sea creatures and stuff, but they also go under the name Jenny Hanovers, and this is a family. They are a cut-up devilfish, and the male over there, the husband, was one of the first gaffs, kind of sideshow gaffs, creepy things I ever started collecting. And he was my first item. And so this is his girlfriend next to it with their baby. We were able to use some taxidermy clay and some other pieces we had and put them together so it looked like a mother holding a baby.
That's wild.
It's the only one I've ever seen. It came out of my head, just the idea of having a baby, you know, with them. So yeah, it should be unique. We have a sea howler. There's a fishman down here. We have a seahorse, you know, a hippocampus, a seahorse, which is always a cool one.
That is just fantastic.
I think that's one of 2 ever made by Mark Frierson. The 2-headed shark down here. We all see the little sharks from beach shops. This is a legitimate 2-headed shark that is not faked. It was from the Gettysburg Dime Museum. Mark Koch shut it down probably a year and a half ago. And so we were able to get this from him for our museum. Super nice guy. We have a great Fiji mermaid. We own a couple of Fiji mermaids. This one's our favorite. It actually uses a monkey upper torso. So all the details are there of a real classic style Fiji mermaid.
It's beautiful.
Beautiful.
In the most creepiest and beautiful ways, of course. This is a legit cannibal tooth necklace out in Western Polynesia, Fiji. It says it's a human tooth necklace of 200 teeth. It represents the victims eaten by cannibals. That is horrible. Got a couple jackalope. You got to have the jackalope. Pretty much every house should have a jackalope, honestly.
Okay, this is our Barnyard Oddities case. You have the classic 2-headed calf. And then this next collection is really neat. This guy was on the Jay Leno show. He was a retired butcher, and his whole career he collected stuff he found inside of these cows. So all sorts of stuff cows eat, plus the giant hairballs, which are really neat.
That's insane. Like, I can see this one here because it's funky shaped and the other ones are odd shaped, but that massive thing over there is horrifying.
And you know, that they would lick themselves so you get the hair in there too. So a lot of, like, and I only say that one because that weird shaped one, when you look at it out of the case, it's baling twine that you wrap around the bales of hay. And if you don't remove all that stuff, the cows eat it when they're eating the hay.
Right.
And then it gets calcified. So some of the smoother ones were just pure hair. But ones like those were baling twine or some sort of something else they got in their system.
Crazy.
And we have the classic 2-headed rattlesnake down there. It's advertised out front of the shop. So that's a great one for the desert. Nice. A little 2-headed bunny. Lots of, this case is just a bunch of freaking weird animals. One of my favorites are the rope squirrels from the Isle of Macrame. It's so dumb it has to make people laugh. We got some piranha taxidermy and the real piranhas. This right here, the big one is actually Cerasselmus rhombus. It's one of the largest species of piranhas. Dang. And and that's still not even full grown on them.
I thought that was like an Oscar.
No, it's a real piranha.
Wow.
You have 2-headed squirrel. We got the man-faced fish, which is always a classic.
Love it.
Yep. Turtle boy. He's kind of funny looking.
Turtle boy's fantastic.
Next to him is the Malagasy flesh-eating toad, which is great. You know, they use a Bufo moranis, a Bufo toad, but then they put piranha teeth in the mouth and put some little horns on them to really give them that crazy critter look.
They're finding new uses for those piranha teeth.
They are. You got the classic, 2-headed turtle.
Nice.
We ended up doing a 2-faced alligator along with a rattlegator, which is kind of unusual.
That I've never seen a rattlegator.
I think it's the only one.
that right there is unique.
And on our back wall, what everybody tells me they didn't see in the museum is the 16-foot alligator. We never claimed it was 16 feet long, but he has 12 additional feet glued to him to make a total of 16 feet. And that's a throwback to the Albita Mystery House in Louisiana. If you get a chance to go, it is amazing, but this is just one of the gimmicks they have.
16-foot alligator, which is actually about, 2 feet long, 3 feet long?
Maybe 30 inches, 2.5 or so.
That's not false advertising, y'all. There's actually 16 feet.
Yep.
Imagine that thing creeping at you. I mean, heck, I've lived in Florida long enough. I don't mind gators, but if that thing comes at me, I'm pooping and then I'm running, or maybe I'm doing both at the same time. So, Lobster Boy's hand cast, what's going on there?
That's a cast of Grady Stiles Jr. His father, Grady Stiles, was famous in the sideshow world from Gibbstown, Florida. And the dad, Grady Stiles, I believe, was a drunk, kind of messed with his family a lot, you know, kind of beat his wife type stuff. And I could be wrong, but that's what I heard. They got mad and he ended up, his family killed him. But this is his son's hand cast.
Yeah, that area of Florida. I'm a big X-Files guy, and one of my favorite episodes is when they go there and Jim Rose Circus is doing their thing.
I wish I could have saw Jim Rose Circus when they were traveling.
All right, I'm starting to get a pattern in my videos having to do with poop. And speaking of poop, there's Abe Lincoln's poop, right?
Yep, Abe Lincoln's last bowel movement.
That's legit.
Fish from the Ford's Theater.
Now, speaking of Fords, this piece of wood right here
that's an actual one of the wood relics from the Ford Theater. Through renovation and stuff, they, instead of throwing the stuff away, they, you know, package it up and sell it.
Nice. That's a cool. That's cool. But Abe Lincoln's turd, that's something special, right?
And when
there.
you read about it, you're gonna learn that it's a fecal forgery. And through analysis, they found out that there were Necco wafers in the poop, and Necco wafers didn't come around until after Lincoln's death. So it is a fecal forgery. So I don't want to let you down, but it's not Lincoln's actual poop.
Fecal forgery, right there. Whoa! Look at this wall of assquatch, or woolly boogers, or swamp boogers, or whatever boogers you want to call them. That thing is horrifying. Imagine that coming at you. Some of these, I mean, some like this one here, so a little bit of effort going into that. I guess it just depends on the artist. But some of these are, this is just, look at that. Look at that. That looks real. Like, that looks legit, like real. And that one makes me want to have a hot fudge sundae. That one's wild too. These are all crazy. Whoa, check out the Ewok. My favorite animal, bison. And there is a booger of a bison. Got a stone baby. A cyclops skull. A saber-toothed cobra. Look at the teeth. Look at the teeth on the saber-toothed cobra. Sewer rat. That reminds me of a time I was in Manhattan and had a car towed, and we literally saw a rat close to that size, not that big, but it was pretty dang big, and it climbed up into the garbage can, grabbed a bag of whatever, and then like boogied away with it. It was horrifying. It was close to that size, which is terrifying. The elusive Mr. Bojangles.
Hey, and this is our star attraction in the museum, is a human blood painting by Ryan Gillikin, also known as Ryan Almighty, of Charles Manson. So when Manson died, everybody fought over his body, and his grandson got control of the body and had Manson cremated. He had a funeral, certain people were invited, and everyone was given a little bit of Charles Manson's ashes to spread the way they felt right doing. One of the guys put some of the ashes in his pocket and brought them out and traded them to Ryan. You can see here the ashes being glued in the eye. So not only is this painted in human blood, but it actually has Charles Manson's cremains in the eyes. On the swastika and the beard, you'll notice human hair pieces, and those are from Manson also. So pretty much Ryan gets these ashes, and he does this whole series of human blood paintings. He had enough ashes to do 6, maybe 7 paintings. Right now, I think he's on painting 6 or just finished 6. This is number 5. And so there's only going to be 6 or 7 of them in the world. The first one is at Zach Bagans' Haunted Museum in Las Vegas, and it was on TMZ. It was all over the news. So you can see this another Charles Manson painting here for free. And yeah, it's great. It's almost as if Manson's looking at you. Kind of a counterculture relic, I guess.
Which is very comforting to know that Charlie's staring directly into my soul. And what do we have here?
A piece of Manson art from while he was in prison. It's called Alien Boobs. I know, crayon and ink. And he wasn't the best artist in the world, but his stuff is highly collectible and hard to come across.
Charlie trying to make that coin from the clink.
Uh-huh. So yeah, this is one of the items on display at the shop that we do have for sale. It's a early 1900s, early mid 1900s, real human shrunken head. Not shrunken. You're right. Can we redo that one?
Yeah,
okay. Okay, let me put that one back.
Another aimless adventure. We are in Tombstone, Arizona today, but we're not necessarily here to see Old West stuff. We're here to see funky, monkey, and maybe even a Fijian mermaid up in your grill. We're here at the White Tree. let me try that again.